Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Kari's Confessions, a nonprofit exec tells all. I'm your host, Kari Anderson, principal with Incite Consulting. My podcast explores the tools and strategies that help nonprofit leaders grow their impact and build resilient organizations. As always, I'm here to share some hard earned lessons and honest truths from life inside the nonprofit world. I spent 25 plus years in the nonprofit sector and leadership roles with 7 organizations. Now I provide coaching and consulting services to ensure that nonprofits, like yours, have the structure, systems, and practices to do your best work. Wherever I go, I continue to hear that nonprofit execs need a space to gather, to receive tools, feedback, and advice that encourages them to stay the course. It doesn't matter if you're in a village of 182 or a metropolis of millions. Nonprofit work is both gratifying and lonely. I'm here to make sure that you have a chance to breathe, laugh, smirk, and get excited again about the important work that you do. So, over the past few weeks, we've been building something together. We started by shifting from pitching to storytelling, moving from transactional messaging to something that actually builds a movement. Then we talked about donor communication that sticks, how to create connection, not just send thank you notes. Last week, we simplified digital presence and reduced the pressure to be everywhere all the time. And most recently, we tackled alignment, how marketing and fundraising can actually work together without chaos. So today, we're going to talk about something that sits underneath all of that. Because here's the truth: a lot of nonprofit teams are doing good work. They're communicating more clearly, they're aligning better internally, and yet they still feel like they're guessing what's working, guessing what to prioritize, guessing what to stop. So today's conversation is about replacing that guesswork with something much simpler and much more useful: a measurement system that actually helps you make decisions. So, first, I want to talk about the problem with how we currently measure. Let's start with the problem. Most organizations are not lacking data. If anything, they have too much of it. You've got email open rates, click through rates, social impressions, website traffic, donation totals, event attendance, and the list goes on. But here's the issue: most of that data doesn't actually help you decide anything. It just tells you what already happened. And so what we see is one of two patterns. Either teams track everything and use almost none of it, or they avoid measurement altogether because it feels overwhelming or unclear. And in both cases, the result is the same: you're still guessing. So the shift we're making today is this: measurement is not about tracking more, it's about learning faster. So I'd like you to consider this: shifting the question. Instead of asking, what can we measure? We need to start asking, what do we need to know to make better decisions? That's a completely different question, because now measurement becomes purposeful, it becomes selective, it becomes useful. And to simplify this, I want to give you 3 core questions that every nonprofit team should be able to answer. Not 20 metrics, just 3 questions. So, question 1: are we reaching the right people? Not just more people, the right people. This might show up as: are the people opening our emails aligned with our mission? Are new subscribers coming from places we actually want to grow? Are event attendees the kind of people who could become long-term supporters? This is about quality of audience, not just quantity. Question 2: are we building trust? Because awareness without trust doesn't lead anywhere. This might look like: are people engaging with our content consistently? Are donors giving more than once? Are conversations happening, not just clicks? Trust is slower, but what sustains everything. And question 3: are we moving people to action? At some point, people need to do something: donate, volunteer, attend, advocate. So we ask, are people taking the next step? Where are they dropping off? What's actually converting? If your team can answer these 3 questions clearly and consistently, you're already ahead of most organizations. So now I want to talk about signal versus noise, something that trips teams up all the time. Signal versus noise. Not all metrics are equal. Some metrics are signals, they tell you something meaningful. Others are just noise. They look impressive, but they don't guide action. For example, a spike in social impressions, that might be noise. A steady increase in repeat donors, that's a signal. Website traffic going up, maybe noise. Time spent on your impact story is increasing, that's a signal. The goal is not to eliminate data, it's to prioritize the data that actually connects to decisions. So instead of tracking 20 things, what if you tracked 3 to 5 metrics per area that directly map to those 3 core questions? That's where clarity starts. So, how do we deal with this? We build a simple system. I'd like to make it practical as always. What does a simple functional measurement system actually look like for your organization? It's not a complicated dashboard, it's a rhythm. Step 1, choose a few key metrics. For example, audience growth quality, not just size, engagement or response rates, donor retention or repeat giving, conversion points, email, donation, event, follow-up. Keep it small, keep it relevant. Step 2, create a weekly learning habit, not a reporting meeting. A learning conversation. Ask, what did we notice? What surprised us? What might this mean? This is where measurement becomes insight. And step 3, connect it to action. This is the step that most teams skip. Every metric should lead to a question like, what will we do differently next week? If engagement dropped, do we adjust the message? If conversions are low, do we clarify the ask? If retention is strong, how do we build on that? Without action, measurement is just observation. With action, it becomes improvement. So let's connect back. I want to tie this back to everything we've been talking about this month. If storytelling is working, you'll see it in engagement and trust. If donor communication is effective, you'll see it in retention and repeat giving. If your digital strategy is focused, you'll see clear movement from awareness to action. If your teams are aligned, you'll see consistency in what you track and how you respond. Measurement isn't separate from strategy. It's how you see whether strategy is working. So here's the takeaway for today. You don't need more data. You need better questions and a simple system that helps your team learn, decide, and adjust consistently. Because when that happens, you stop guessing. You start leading with clarity. And everything we talked about this month, storytelling, donor connection, digital focus, alignment, it all becomes more effective. Thanks for joining me today for Kari's Confessions, a nonprofit exec tells all. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with a colleague or board director. Make sure to follow me on your favorite streaming platforms, and for additional resources and tools, follow me on LinkedIn. You can also check out my website at inciteconsultinggroup.com. Until next time, have a great week.